You're listening to Go Running Talks, a podcast by Go Running Tours. Quick, fun chats with our guides, guests, and partners from around the world. Get ready to discover new cities, inspiring stories, and the shared joy of running anywhere on the planet.
Hello and welcome. My name is Lena. I'm the founder of Go Running Tours, and welcome to the podcast Go Running Talks. Today I'm joined by my colleague Sara in Denver, who's our lead guide in Denver.
Hello, I am Sara. I am the lead guide here in Denver, Colorado.
One of the things that strikes me when I speak to you, but also when I look at your Strava, and I don't know whether your Strava profile is open, but if it is, I recommend everyone should follow you, is that there's such a cool vibe about you. And this is one of the first things I thought when we had the interview, was you look like you're just hitting the trails with your friends, with your dogs, and you just really, really enjoy running. And I was having one of those feelings when I first saw it. I was like, oh God, I just want to be best friends with this person, right? And then thankfully now we're colleagues. But I don't know, do you want to tell us a little bit about your running? How did you get into running, and what's your running like?
Yeah, so I guess technically you could classify me as an ultra runner because I like to run further distances than marathons, and that kind of just randomly happened. I'd only kind of run a couple half marathons up until like last summer. I kind of got into running around 2 years ago now, just kind of with friends as a way to de-stress and take my mind off some things. And then, I met a really cool community here. I have a whole group of girls who I go running with pretty often. We love to hit the trails. A lot of us have dogs. But yeah, a lot of my running stemmed from like having my own dog. And then it really escalated when I quit drinking. It's been about 21 months now. And so really just like a way to channel my energy and a way to de-stress even more. I had all this free time outside of not going out anymore, and I was like, well, how can I spend my time wisely? And sure enough, running is just as addicting as some other substances can be. So here I am. I'm pretty deep into it. I'm actually kind of coming back from an injury right now, just something silly like bone spurring, which I don't even really know what that injury is still. But I'm trying to figure that out. But yeah, I love to run with my dog, with my friends. We love to hit the trails. I definitely prefer the trails over the road because you get far more better views. You get to eat a lot more snacks. The dog can come, that type of thing. So yeah, that's kind of how I got started. Just kind of like on a whim, looking for something better to do with my life, and here we are. And yeah, the opportunity with Go Running Tours kind of just popped up on Strava one day randomly as I was scrolling. So I was like, oh, this could be interesting. I could make money while running. I never would have thought. while showing people Denver and a different city they may have never been to before. So I really enjoy it.
Excellent. And that actually, I'm glad you explained this, because I remember when you first applied to become a lead guide, you said, I'm a 31-year-old bartender who swapped serving drinks for chasing miles, which I thought was a great introduction. I guess that explains, you just explained the journey from bartending to running. And as you say, it is exceptionally addicting, the running part, of course. So just staying with running a little bit, what's your best running memory? Do you have one memory that sort of stands out?
Yeah, so around this time last year, one of my girlfriends who has her own run club here, it's an all-girls run club called Coffee Run Club, where we meet at a different coffee shop every Friday morning. It's all female oriented, so it's just very inclusive and friendly for those who are a little bit more intimidated by some of these run groups, because some of them can be super intimidating and say that they run one pace and they run a minute faster or what have you. So anyways, this gal that I know, one of my closest friends now, she was like, hey, I was curious if you would want to come to the Grand Canyon with me and do rim to rim to rim, which is running from one side of the Grand Canyon to the other and then coming back and doing it all in one day. And that's about 40, depending on which route you take, it's between 40 and 45 miles. And I was like, I do not think I'm cut out for that. I don't think I can do that. But then I got to thinking, like, she probably wouldn't ask me if she didn't think I was capable of doing something like that. So I couldn't say no to something like that because I didn't know when I was going to get the chance to do an adventure like that again. So sure enough, it's almost a year now since we did that. But yeah, we did rim to rim to rim at Grand Canyon, and that was probably the craziest, hardest, but like coolest thing I've done to date, where it's like you go down in the Grand Canyon, you run across, you go up to the top, and then back down, down across, and then back up. But that last 3 or 4 hours coming back up the rim the last time is like a death march. So, but yeah, that's probably my most exciting memory, just because it's like the craziest thing I've ever done. I also did it with like 3 strangers and then my friend that I know. Going down there with people you don't even know was kind of like a fun adventure trust type of thing. But now those friends are like some of my lifelong pals. Like it was just such an incredible experience and something that you can't really do. I mean, you could do it again, but it just won't be the same as like the first time. And even since then, I guess like the north rim of the Grand Canyon has unfortunately caught on fire and has been closed down. It will be closed for a little while longer. So I'm just very glad that I said yes to that opportunity when it arose, I guess.
Oh, well done. I actually have a question to that. So when you go down and you come all the way up, so the first time when before you have to go back again, do you just sort of make it all the way up and are you just like, all right, we made it, and then you turn around? Or do you just give a quick high five? Or is there a stop there? Is there hydration? What happens when you hit the rim the first time?
So technically when you get up to the North Rim, well, it was snowing up there. So we were going up in like a couple inches of snow and mud. It was completely different than the South Rim. So the weather there, I mean, I don't know how many miles it is across. Well, I do, because it's like 20-ish miles, 22 miles to get to the top rim. We kind of like laid in the parking lot. Nothing was open. The visitor center wasn't open. It was outside of the opening season. I don't think the visitor center opened until like the summertime. So we like laid in the parking lot. We like refueled, used the bathroom, that type of stuff. But we didn't want to like stay too sedentary for too long, because otherwise you're already halfway through. You still have to go back and do it all over again. But the longer you stayed there, the longer your legs were like, oh, I can't do this. So we kind of just like I'd say we spent maybe a half hour max up there before collecting our things and doing it all over again.
Fantastic. So that was sort of the best memory. Do you have sort of a memory from running that you really think, oh, God, that was so hard? Like your worst memory of running? I think all runners have a moment where you think, oh, it's really hard now, or I wish this hadn't happened. Do you have this?
I think every runner has like a bad run every once in a while, right? Or like gets into the pain cave, as they call it. I mean, I ran my first like official ultra in September, and there was like a whole chunk of it where it was just like 8 miles straight up. Like I wasn't running, I was just hiking it. But I was like, wow, this is the part that people were talking about. This is the part that stinks. Even though the views are gorgeous, like you're just kind of talking yourself out of like giving up and quitting. But like, you know, once you got to the top, you're like, okay, now it's all downhill from here. It can only get better. So really I don't know if there's one specific time that I can think of that I didn't like, because there's multiple times I've been in a pain cave or had to talk myself out of whatever the situation was. I'm like, well, it'll get better. It'll get better. You just have to get past this one little chunk. So I don't have one specific memory.
I love the word pain cave. I've never heard that before. I'm gonna start using that. I think it's very descriptive. The way it works in Go Running Tours, where people apply for the role, we have interviews, and then we sort of decide, okay, let's work together. And then the work is actually on the lead guide, like you, Sarah, to start creating tours and come up with sort of routes and so on. And with you, it took a little bit longer. And I remember writing saying, hey, Sarah, you know, how's it going with the tours and so on? And then you very openly mentioned, Lena, I'm suffering a little bit. I have imposter syndrome, which I think everyone has to some extent. So
Sure.
I love the fact that you were so open about it, and you were, hey, I have imposter syndrome and I'm a little bit stuck here on what to do, and I'm not sure I can do it. And then we had some calls. You managed to make some incredible tours. And then during December last year, you had a huge event in Denver, and you had 10 people out guiding for you. And again, we ran into a little bit like, I'm a little bit nervous about this. Can I do it? Am I the right person? And we were all like, you're so the right person, and you didn't do a great job. And I will say, to this date, I still think that event is where we had some of the most positive feedback from both the runners, but actually also the organizers.
Awesome.
So really, I mean, yeah, and excellent work. But sort of going back to this imposter syndrome, I think it's very interesting. And I'm wondering, in terms of your running, Do you feel that this is something that affects your running? Does it hinder you? Does it sometimes benefit you? Can you feel this imposter syndrome when you run as well, or as part of your running?
Yeah, I think it can both hinder and help you in a sense. Like, it can hinder you because, you know, you're comparing yourself to other people. Like, when I started making my tours, I was like, Denver doesn't have, like, the cool architecture and all the history that some of these European countries do. And I'm like, nobody's going to want to run in Denver. Like, nobody cares, blah, blah, blah. So that was where that kind of stemmed from. I was like, wow, we just don't have that type of history. I mean, we have history, it's just slightly different. So I kind of had to work around and figure out what exactly people would want to see when they came to Denver. So yeah, I guess in like the sense that like you're constantly comparing yourself to others. I mean, like social media is such like a ugly thing. You see people running faster than you, or you see people running longer than you, and I'm like, why am I taking a rest day when somebody's running 20 miles? I should be running that far, or what have you. But like at the same time, I think imposter syndrome kind of makes you a stronger person too, because like you are comparing yourself to people, but that you're also battling, I guess, yourself in a way. Like I'm my number one competition at the end of the day, no matter how much I compare myself to other people. Like, it's still me and versus me. So I think it can really hinder, but at the same time, like motivate you to be better, to do harder things. So yeah, there's a pros and cons to
And do you, when you sort of, how aware are you of it? I mean, I was really surprised you just wrote to me, hey, Lena, this is how I'm feeling and so on. But during your running, when you're training for a race, or if you just signed up for a race, or you're in the middle of an ultra race, how aware are you sort of about thinking, okay, well, this is probably my mind giving me a little bit of a hard time?
Pretty often. I think especially during like ultras and stuff, you really are testing yourself and how far you can go and how hard you can go. Because yeah, at the end of the day, no matter how many people help you at an aid station or how many friends are waiting for you at the finish line, like you're still the only person who's going to get you across that finish line. You know, like you still have to pull it from within and get there. So I think pretty often, but I do try to kind of, not let the voices be so loud sometimes, but running quiets a lot of those voices to begin with, which is nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you feel it's getting better? Do you learn? Do you grow with it? And the more ultras you run, then the voices become another's high?
Yeah, I think the more I train and the more I get out there and the more people I run with and just like the more experience I get in doing it, I think that's how everything works. The harder you practice and the more you practice, the easier some things get. So yeah, I think that's just kind of like a learning curve you have to learn. I think everybody kind of goes at a different pace too, or it comes back harder on some days when you're not feeling as great, or like the pain cave. When you're in the pain cave, sometimes nothing really matters, or you can only talk yourself out of so much. But yeah.
Fantastic. So we spoke about your running and sort of your, I guess, running life and achievements and interests. And I'd like to speak to you a little bit about your running tours in Denver. That's of course also what some of our listeners are interested in, is the different running tours around the world. So tell us about the different tours you have in Denver.
So yeah, we have a couple different tours in Denver, ranging from 5K to a half marathon. A lot of it is city running, so you get to see some of the major spots in town like Union Station, Colorado Rockies baseball stadium. We've got a couple of the parks on there, so we have some pretty good like green spaces and parks for what it is for a big city, I think. And then like one of my favorite ones is the Arts District, or the Rhino. I love the Arts District, is really fun as well. So you can kind of see all the murals. They change every couple months. We have like a big arts festival here where local and non-local artists come and paint murals down this district. So that's just like a really fun way to kind of see the city change. But yeah, I think running here in Denver is really fun because a lot of people aren't used to the elevation either. So when they get here, they're like, oh my gosh, my lungs are burning. I'm used to running like 7-8 minute miles. And I'm like, no, not here. The elevation will humble you really quickly. And every single time they're like, yeah, you were right. I'm like, yes, I know. So that's something to be aware of, is that your lungs are going to burn regardless of how good of a runner you are. It seems everybody has said that to me at the end of my tour, so just be cautious.
Excellent. It's funny, I was actually on a call with, I did a go running talk with Sidla in Mexico City as well. I think it has approximately the same elevation as Denver. And she mentioned the same thing, that everyone came thinking this is going to be a regular run, and then they were just wiped out by the end of it because of the elevation.
It can be humbling for sure.
But I think, yeah, absolutely. So, but it's interesting, right? Because you were just mentioning, Denver doesn't have maybe the architectural sort of the historic buildings that many European cities have, and so on. But it's interesting because when you sit and you describe the murals, that just sounds incredible. That you can run around and see this sort of evolving city. And I'm guessing also as a guide, it's nice that you run and then there's a new artwork when you turn the corner compared to when you were there the last time.
Yeah, every once in a while there is. It's pretty fun. It's nice to see Denver change little by little, I guess. Yeah.
Excellent. And then of all the tours that you have, if you could recommend one tour, if people had only one tour they could run with you, which one would you recommend that they did?
Well, one day I will have a trail running tour that I would highly recommend everybody do, because I think that's my favorite way to show people is the trails and the mountains and whatnot. And there's one pretty close to town I'm debating adding as one of my tours here this summer. But probably if I had to choose one, I'd probably choose the longest one, the half marathon, just because you get to see everything. So that includes the arts district, that includes the parks that I love. That includes kind of like the nooks and crannies of all of my tours. It kind of connects all three of them, or all two of them, I guess, into one big one. So I think like the best bang for your buck is to just go for it, the biggest of them all, So you hit everything at once. If you have the time and the capability to do a half marathon at elevation, of course.
With an ultra runner who's used to the elevation.
Yeah.
Is there like an inside tip that you would say if people come to Denver, they should definitely do this, but they probably don't know about it?
Yeah, honestly, my tidbit of information for visiting Denver is to actually go to the outskirts of Denver for the best food, because people always dog on Denver about how bad the food is and whatnot, and that's because it's all hiding in the outskirts. It's like in Aurora, or even like Lakewood, or even just like north or south of Denver. There's like so many good food spots, and you don't have to like pay a lot of money to go see. Sure, there's like those Michelin star restaurants that are like also not to be missed, but I think some of the hidden gems are lying outside of Denver. One of my favorite Burmese restaurants is over there, which is probably a type of food that most people have never tried before. But I think you have to be a little bit creative and do some research on where to find the best food, because it might not be in Denver proper. But that's my tidbit information. I'm a big food fan. I love to eat snacks.
I do believe that 90% of our guests, apart from being passionate runners, they are also foodies. We always get the questions on the tours, where should we eat? Or what about this restaurant? Or,
for sure,
as you mentioned, people have booked a table at one of the Michelin restaurants, and then they're looking for other recommendations.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
But before the end, Sara, I just have a couple of quick fire questions. Altitude, humble you or hype you?
A little bit of both. I think it humbles me on the way up, but I'm like hyped when I'm up there, Once you get to the summit, everything's good to go. I love downhills. Downhills are by far my favorite. And a lot of times I'm not even running the uphills. No, definitely humbling most of the time. Yeah.
So you are human after all.
Oh, yes. I know where the issues lie, for sure.
Trail run with your dog, steady pace or stop-start chaos?
I'd say, I think there's a time and a place for start-stop, right? Like, I think if the trail's super hard, taking breaks where you need to is good. But I also just love like a nice rolling, constant, like easy jog. I love to just kind of not think about it, listen to my music or not. Sometimes I don't listen to anything. Sometimes I'm just there for the vibes. But yeah, I think the starting and stopping, there better be snacks included, But otherwise, I love just like a good rolling, rolling run.
So I'm curious, because you mentioned these snacks. What is your snack? When you go running, what's the snack?
Oh, geez, it depends on the day. I love Uncrustables. We have these really good like flavored fig bars that are just like soft and chewy. I eat a lot of like gummy candy, so a lot of like Sour Patch Kids. I love Sour Patch Watermelon, peach rings. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. I'm a fan of sugar and snacks. But also like at the aid stations at races, salty potatoes really hit the spot, whether it be like salt and vinegar chips or like hash browns or something. Like I do love savory things too, because eventually your palate's all too sweet, so you have to have something to kind of combat that. But yeah, I'm not too picky, clearly.
And then post-run reward, sweet treat or real breakfast?
Ooh, that one's also hard because depending on how long the run is, like you want like a full breakfast, you want to be completely sustained. But a lot of times I get donuts. It's a little sweet treat for me after a run, usually like a pastry or a donut.
All right. And then winter mornings in Denver, layer up and go or treadmill day?
I will go outside as much as possible because here in Denver, like even if it's cold, the sun's usually out. Like we have like 300 days or something of sunshine, more so than even like the sunniest places in America, allegedly. So once that sun's out, it's pretty tolerable, and I do not run in leggings. I just don't like the feeling of them. It's overwhelming. So I'm trying to wear shorts almost all year round, unless it's like 15 degrees Fahrenheit or lower. I'm not sure what that is for you guys, but unless it's like freezing out, I'm rocking the shorts all year round. I'll just put a bunch of layers on the top, hats, gloves. Gloves are huge. Gloves are huge for sure.
Amazing. And then your running tribe, just running mates or meeting outside running and in real clothes as well?
Yeah, I'd say a lot of times a little bit of both. I'd say most of my running friends are also my friends in real life too, which makes it fun because whether we're meeting for coffee or we're going for a jog, like we can still hang out. Or like sometimes we have a girls' night dinner, you know, where everybody brings like something they made and we just share it, or like we'll have craft nights and stuff. So community is huge in running, and I'm super thankful for the people I have found through this sport because yeah, I wouldn't have nearly as many of these pals if I didn't get into running, I think. So
And so I think that sometimes a little bit of the overlooked benefit of running is really the community part of it and how nice and kind everyone is.
oh yeah, it's so great.
So the last question I have for you, Sara, is what is your best advice for a runner? And this can be for a beginner, for an elite runner, for all runners, but do you have one advice that you would give to?
Fuel. Make sure you're fueling properly. There has been so many times, I mean, probably for the first year that I ran, that I was under fueling, or I wasn't eating enough on my long runs, or, you know, I just wasn't eating in general as much as I should for as many calories as I was burning on my runs. So I think fueling's huge, and I know people can be afraid of eating so much, but for as much as like your body does for you, you have to give back to it, you know? So I think fueling is huge. It prevents injuries. It prevents you from getting seriously hurt. And I blame under fueling for my injury currently. So fueling, food, no matter what it is, snacks, sweets, your body needs it regardless of, you know, how you feel about it. It's so important. So fueling, definitely, number one.
Yeah, that's an excellent advice. And also, as you mentioned, just injury prevention, but also recovery and just performing and feeling somewhat normal afterwards as well. What a great advice. I think that's really good. Great. All right, Sara, I have no more questions for you. First of all, well, thank you for joining this interview. It's been great. And thank you for sharing your thoughts. And also a big thank you for being our colleague, providing these amazing tours in Denmark. But thank you for your time, Sara, and thank you for joining.
Thank you for asking me to do so. It's been so fun. Thanks.
Gotta go, go, go.